All right, look, we've been going over basic stair layout, and you already know a little bit about it, but we're going to teach you a little bit more. We're going to show you how to lay out the cutout stringer. All right, this particular cutout stringer is made out of what? 2 by 12. Why are we making it out of 2 by 12? What do you mean meat? When I cut that triangle out, I gotta have what? Yeah, I gotta have enough wood from here to here based on code, building code. How much do I gotta have right here for building code? 4 inches. So we're gonna show you the math first. Once we get through the math, then we're gonna show you how to lay it out and then build a set of steps. Everybody good with that? All right. First thing that we gotta know is I got these two mixed up real quick. Let me switch these around. I always like to start. It really doesn't matter which one you start with, run or rise, but I always like to start with the rise just out of habit. All right. Our total rise is what is your total rise? Somebody explain what that is to me. That is the how far up we're going to do what? To get to the landing. What is the landing? The second floor. It could be the deck. It could be the porch that we're going to. All right. So the total rise is 46 inches. The total run, 51.25. Now you don't always have a total run. All right. Sometimes you're limited by how far your steps can go. You may run into a wall. Does this make sense to everybody? So you don't always have a total run. Sometimes you can let your steps go out as far as you want them to go, but it's going to be dictated by your total rise, the number of steps that you need. How do we figure out the number of steps?
Total rise divided by 7.
Total rise divided by 7. 46 divided by 7. Somebody tell me, punch that in your calculator. Tell me what you get. What? 6 point. What do y'all get? 6.57. All right. Let me ask you a question. Can I have 0.57 of a step? No. We are going to get rid of the 0.57. So how many steps do we need? 6. All right. And I'll explain why we can't have 7 in just a little bit. Unit rise. How do you figure out your unit rise?
Total rise divided by number of steps.
Total rise, which is 46 divided by the number of steps. How many steps do we have? 6. 46 divided by 6 is what? 46 divided by 6 is 8. 48 divided by 6 is 8. 7 point what? 7.66 repeating, so I'm just going to call it 7.67. All right. Where's 0.67 out on the tape measure? We don't know. So what do we got to do? I'm just taking what's after the 7, so we're gonna step 7 inches, right? But and a little bit of change right here. So we got to take 0.67. An inch is broken down into how many parts? 16 parts, right? So we're going to take 0.67 times 16 and get what? 10 point what? 72. I'm going to put that over 16. I'm going to get rid of 0.72, and I'm going to have 10 sixteenths. What do we got to do to 10 sixteenths? Reduce it down to 5/8. All right, we got to reduce that down to 5/8, 7 5/8. So our unit rise is 7 5/8. Somebody tell me what 7 5/8 mean. What is my unit rise? The distance I'm going to take to go up 1 step. I told you this before, but your brain has gotten used to doing what? Yeah, your brain has created muscle memory for stepping up roughly 7 inches, which is what we're looking for. All right? How do we find our unit run? So my number of steps, which is 6, minus 1 is 5. So my unit run's 5.
We got a unit run.
We got to take, so what's my total unit run? 51.25. Divided by what?
5.
Now, how do I know to divide by 5 or 6?
Because the wavelength is not your rise.
the landing can either be even with my last step, or the landing can be my last step. All right, does that make sense? If I do this method, I divide by 6. If I do this method, I divide by 5. Now, sometimes it matters. All right, I personally like to use the landing as the last step. It's really a preference for appearance and whether or not you've got the amount of run that you like if you're running into a wall or not. Does this make sense? All right, so we're gonna say that the landing is the last step on this one, 51 1/4 divided by 5. What do we get? .25. Now, I'm not going to go through 0.25. What is 0.25 on the tape measure? Quarter. Everybody knows that one, right? Last but not least, the adjusted bottom step. How do we figure that out? Say what? Unit rise minus the tread thickness. What is my unit rise? 7 5/8. Minus my tread thickness. Your tread thickness we talked about the other day is standard's going to come 1 inch. Now it depends on if you're outdoors and if you're using what you're using for a tread, but in this case it's 1 inch. So 6 5/8 minus 1 inch is, 7 5/8 minus 1 inch is 6 5/8. Don't sound supported, Bobby.
Huh?
Don't sound supported.
I'm not bored.
All right. Everybody got all of this? We're going to show you how to lay this out. What is this? Raymond square. All right. What is this part called? Tongue. What is this part called? Blade. What are these things called? Stair gauges. All right. Especially for those of you that weren't here on Friday. My tongue represents my what? Unit rise, which is 7 5/8. So I got to find 7 5/8. I slide the edge of my stair gauge to 7 5/8 and I lock it down. What is my unit run? Slide it to 10 1/4 and lock it down. All right, whenever I put this on my board, I got a 2 by 12. I'm going to hook it on the edge of the board closest to me, and I'm going to put the point facing away from me. I'm going to use this smaller framing square, and I'm going to put these back to back up against that stair gauge. You're going to have to do this you're going to have to go lay out your own piece of plywood, probably tomorrow. The adjusted bottom step. What's my adjusted bottom step? 6 5/8. So I got to find 6 5/8 on this small square, and I got to put that in line with the edge of this board. And I will show you this again because this takes practice. We're going to mark that. We can get rid of this for now. All right. Then I'm going to mark this back side of this triangle. On the outside, we're always working the outside of our frame square. How many times am I going to mark this out? 5. We got 6 steps, but why am I marking it out 5? Because I'm using the landing as my... So, I mark it out here, I slide it down until what? Until my stair gauge on my left gets even with where that line left off, and mark it out again. So I do this 5 times. While I'm marking out, I try to number it. Now, whenever you're doing 5 of these, you're probably not going to forget. But if you're doing on my steps in my house, there's 13 rises that go up to my steps. I counted over the weekend, right? You probably need to number how many times you do this. Does that make sense? Otherwise, you get confused. So we got 4, and the last one is 5. Now, there are different ways of doing this. I'm going to show you the method that I like. You can attach your cutout stringer with joist hangers or a header. There are several different ways that you can do this. All right? I'm going to do the header method. We're going to attach a header to the top of it. Does this make sense to everybody? How thick is all 2x material? 1.5 inches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off 1.5 inches. The good thing about the framing square is this right here is 1.5 inches. All right, so when I'm marking out this last step, I'm just going to mark the inside of the square right there, and I'm going to carry that all the way out across here. Does that make sense to everybody? So I'm going to cut off 1.5 inches. If I don't cut that 1.5 inches off, all right, then I end up with a gap at the top that's 1.5 inches wide, and I'm going to have to put a board or my hardwood floor or something like that down. All right. What I got to do down here before I do the kicker board? I got to have something for my kicker board to measure up. What is this part right here going to be? It's going to get cut off, but what is it? Where's it going to set? It's going to set on the ground. All right. Now this particular 2x12, does anybody notice anything about it in particular? What kind of wood is it? Treated. These over here are not treated. If I'm building outside, I got to use treated. If I'm building inside, I can use regular board. The kicker board right here, how big of a kicker board am I going to make? Anybody? Anybody remember? Size of a 2x4. How big is a 2x4? 1.5 inches by 3.5. I feel like we've said that, what, 100 times this year? So we got 1.5 inches by 3.5. I'm going to mark out my kicker board. And I'm going to cut that notch out for a kicker board. That way, what does the kicker board do? It allows me to attach it to whatever my floor is, be it the concrete. If it's concrete, what kind of wood do I got to use? Yep. Anytime you are in contact with concrete, you got to use treated wood. All right. I'm not going to cut this out for time purposes. I've already got stringers cut out here, but all I would have to do is take my what and cut this out. Circular saw and jigsaw. Take circular saw, jigsaw, cut this thing out. Once I cut this out, I ended up with these. Now we're going to show you the construction of these. Bobby, if I can get your help. Now, for time's sake, I have already pre-prepared a lot of this, but in the real world, you would obviously have to cut all these out. That's going to take you at least 30 minutes. All right. This is my kicker. All right. Right now, Bobby's going to screw this on right here, over here. Now, I don't have a treated board here. How far apart would these stringers be spaced? 16 on center. If my stairway is over, if my stairway is over 30 inches wide, I have to have a what? I have to have a center stringer. Over 30 inches, you gotta have a center cut out stringer. Then we're gonna put our, what is this? My header. Now, the top of my stairs, this board right here has to be, the top of my stairs has to be the same width as what? It has to be the same as my kicker down. All right, now look, these are my treads. You with me? Bobby's going to take one and put it up there at the top. How much of a overhang do I got to have right here? 3/4 of an inch to maximum. 1.25 inches. If we leave too much overhanging, so this is my tread, that's my tread. You also, depending on the circumstances, you want overhang on both sides, roughly 1 inch. But if my board is up against a wall, then my board is going to sit what? It's going to sit flush. So I got my what am I going to put right here? I'm going to put risers, right? Typically, risers are any sort of finished material. Mine are white in my house. It's just buy them from Lowe's, rip them down. I rip them down to the right rise that I had right here. But you cannot leave these open depending on building code and where to put your steps, all right? What is this right here called? Unit rise. What is this called? Unit run. What is this called? Unit, the tread, right? This is your kicker board. So if I stand all of this up, can y'all see how this is going to turn into steps? I'll have to grab this in right here. We're going to let that end down on the ground real quick. And now if I'm building a small set of steps, I like to build them together and just stand them up. If I'm building a large set of steps, such as going 8 foot up to another level, what do I do? I build it, I attach one stringer to the landing, I attach my next stringer to the landing, and then I tie them all together. Why do I like to do this for smaller sets of steps? Yeah, this is a lot easier, all right, and it's easier to get everything square and flush. All right, good deal.